A £65,000 car for the people. A Range Rover at 45 degrees. And the new Bentley Coupe comes to our studio. Hello and welcome to the last show in the series. Don't worry though, we're going out with a grrr, because look, we got the new TVR here, and Richard Hammond has been driving it.
We first came across this car last year, but back then it was very much a work in progress kind of a thing. Even the Stig found it a handful. So here we are in 2003, summertime, obviously, and the 350C is finally ready.
And what we get is a £38,500 car, 3.6-litre straight-six engine with 350 brake horsepower. So it's not the full-on TVR Hurricane, it's more a kind of pretty strong storm.
But don't think you can relax, because history shows that even a small TVR can take your head off.
It's a blary, scary, full-on kind of thing, and that's what they're best at, which is great if you like your cars full fat. But in truth, these days, TVR has to work hard to keep up with the modern competition. A bit like these.
Like the TVR, the Harrier is a great British institution, but it's 42 years old, so it's been updated to keep pace with modern demands. The new Harrier GR9 is cleverer, faster, more comfortable and easier to fly. This jet fighter has raised its game, but in a world of Porsche Boxsters and Z4s, can the TVR do the same?
Well, it's still a TVR. That's to say it's raucous, raw, insane to look at, and smells like a fiberglass canoe factory in here. It's also loud, properly loud.
And along with the usual TVR noise, you get the usual TVR interior. Crazy hand-stitched leather, spangled with beautifully crafted switchgear. So far then, it's same old, same old. However,
there is a fundamental difference here. It goes all the way through the car. The ride, it's just right. On A and B roads, fine. It feels more grown up, more like a proper car from a sensible, grown-up manufacturer. So finally, there's a TVR that you really can use. It's almost an everyday car. I really like it. It works.
It must have limits, though, but it's not wise to try and find them on the road. So let's be off to the track.
This feels good. It feels tight and taut and together. It's these brakes, though. Ooh. I mean, I love accelerating. Who doesn't? But for the first time in my life, I am looking forward to braking almost as much. And normally driving a TVR with any kind of sense of purpose is a bit like chatting to a bloke in the pub and, you know, he says, oh yeah, we went on holiday, took the missus in the caravan, and then poof, punches you in the face, no warning. This, though, it's got understeer. It's telling me, it's saying, oh, I've got to let you know, you're getting on my nerves a little bit. It hasn't lost the lairiness, but it's just been to anger management.
And that makes it the most user-friendly TVR I've ever been in. But it does still have TVR blood in its veins.
It's a big one.
So if you push it and push it,
You can still make a hash of it. Ooh, that's a bad one. Did that on purpose.
but you've really got to want to provoke it. I mean, like walking through the lion enclosure covered in sausages and then spilling their pints.
I'm driving a TVR on a wet track, and somehow I don't feel like I've got the Grim Reaper sitting in the seat next to me, kind of clearing his throat, ready to see me off.
So, like the Harrier, the TBR 350C keeps its character, but in a world of young guns, it can still cut it.
Wonderful.
It's magnificent.
Great car. Best TVR I've ever driven there.
Yep, you could live with it. It's a proper machine.
Really could.
Yes.
However,
Oh dear.
if I were going to buy a British sports car, I'd be tempted by one of these, I must admit. The Noble, OK? Now, it came here last year, did a 133 in the wet.
Yeah, I reckon the TVR would thrash that anyway.
But that was with the 2.5-litre engine. It now has a 3-litre engine.
It's a 3-litre Mondeo engine. It's a Ford Mondeo engine.
turbocharged
Ford Mondeo engine. This
Mondeo.
has a proper straight-six configuration. It's a proper race car engine in the TVR. I mean, that's just a childish thing. Right, you've asked
Top
for it.
trumps.
OK, then.
Top trumps, OK? Give me your 0 to 60 time, eh?
4.4 seconds, thank you.
Pa! 4.1.
Oh, it's a fraction.
Thrashes you,
It's a
thrashes you,
fraction of a-
thrashes you,
It's
thrashes you.
pathetic.
OK, top speed.
175 miles an hour. Go on, big fella. What have you got? Come on. 175 miles an hour.
167.
Yes! Thank you. Tell you what, price.
What is it?
Mine is 38,500 quid.
Was it?
Sorry, Jeremy. That sounded like 40-something to me, so it's more.
47.
Well, that's 47,000. It's nearly 9,000. That's another car on top of the TV.
That's made in Blackpool.
Well, yours is nailed together in South Africa and then shipped into Leicestershire. I mean, it's hardly glamorous.
We're going to settle this, right? The
Yeah.
track. Wheel out the stick.
All right.
This is a duel.
That was a magnificent start. He's gone. Look at that. Oh,
It's up to 30.
no, I'm sorry. That's in his... Oh, that's nice. Oh, look, it's a proud thing. Look at the control there.
I think that's a record for the slowest ever round that corner. Twitching.
No, it's under control.
Nearly
That's
lost it under braking there.
Very gentle drift, and it looks so glorious. What a proper car. Just letting it run wide. Look at that.
Do you know,
that's
is this lap
glorious.
ever going to end?
Listen to that straight six. It's... Oh,
45
fantastic.
miles an hour.
Don't be ridiculous. Gambon, look at the
Final
control. A
corner.
little bit of drift. Oh, that was moving, Jeremy.
It's finished, does
I'll
it?
see what your ridiculous Mondeo engine thing does.
Now let me show you what real performance
Go
is.
on, then.
Watch this. Oh, it's gone already. It's already in the next county.
Got a private
See,
plate.
that is fabulous. Look, on the brakes. No understeer in this.
Well, it's
No understeer in this at all.
because it's dangerous, Jeremy.
It does. Look at that. It's oversteer. No, we didn't lose it in braking there. Is
No,
it got
he's
understeer around here?
just
no,
missing
look at that. It's
crashing.
manly. It's hirsute. It's
No.
masculine in every way.
It's plainly ridiculous. Any minute now, he is going to crash.
No, he isn't. Look
at that.
See, he's correct. Oh, beautiful driving from the stick. And a very noble. And across the line, and there we are.
Well, I'll show you mine if you show me yours.
OK, 1 minute.
OK, I've got a 1 minute. 20?
20. I'm surprised you did it in a 120-something.
Don't be ridiculous.
What were you?
1 minute 27. I thank you, which puts it... Oh,
That is
right
very
the way up
fast.
there. Look
Let
at
me
that.
give you a hand. There we go. 127. Well,
Thank
that's
you.
fantastic. Sadly, though,
Oh,
1
no.
minute 25, everybody! Yes!
Yeah, but look at it. No! Brilliant. That's going to be wing. It's
Loser.
a ridiculous looking car. Look, It's a childish car, and look what it's brought out in now. It's not a man's sports car. I mean, look, now you're just being childish. I'm not going to get cross.
You lost.
No, you're not annoying me. I don't care. I don't care. It was...
Right, the news, and we begin tonight with probably the best piece of news I've ever heard since I was born. An event, in fact...
Don't.
Which eclipses the very miracle of my birth.
Hang on, the best piece of news you've ever heard ever.
What is it?
They're going to stop making the Beetle.
And that's it? That's not the new
That is fantastic. No,
it's not
the
that
old
good,
one.
is it?
They're still making it till the 30th of July, and then it stops forever.
And why is that so
Why
good,
do you
really?
hate it so much?
Do you really want me to do it?
Well, no, just... I can't... I mean,
OK, it's a rubbish car.
That's incisive.
That's the first thing. It's a rubbish car. Secondly, it was a scandal. OK, that car was stolen from a Czech bloke called Ledwinka, I think, by Hitler and his henchmen. They put it into production. They stole money off the German people to build it and to build a factory. They never got a car. Instead, they used the factory and slaved Russian labour from the Eastern Front to build V1 bombs.
You can't blame the poor little Herbie.
And I haven't finished yet.
Oh, here we go.
In the factory, Russian slave labour built V1 flying bombs, one of which landed where my house now stands.
That is the most convoluted reason for
There's
hating...
more.
Oh, no.
Does anybody own a Beetle?
No,
Yes.
well, nobody's going to...
Right. Are you happy driving around in a mass murderer's personal biffer bag? You are. Well, what? I mean, I don't understand it. It's completely wrong.
It's gone and you're rejoicing.
I'm chuffed a bit.
And I couldn't care less.
I have to say me neither, but, you know, there you
You're
go.
a loser. What's the loser got for us this week,
Well,
loser?
you big oaf. I've got the following. More good news, actually, for you. Because a while ago we saw, well, Vauxhall showed us the new Astra. Well, at least what they said it was going to look like. We've got a picture of it here. Now, that we all agreed, I think we are all agreed, is a fantastic-looking thing. And Jeremy said, well, if it looks anything like that when they make the real one, I'll eat my hair. And the good news for you, Jeremy, is it looks like this. So it's safe.
It's safe.
Yeah, I mean, they send us a load of stuff on it, and I've been through it all, and all I can see is lights. It tells you it's got, this is a good one, forward lighting headlamp system.
I'm always fed at you. Turn the light. I've illuminated my engine bay again and that's where I'm going.
And it goes on about the rear light scattering translucent technology in the rear lamps, so they literally light up. Yeah, I don't get it. Right, quick one. John Prescott, right, always telling us use our cars less. We know the fella. Last year spent £320,000 on taxi fares, which, I mean, that equates to, we worked out, about 900 quid a day.
Where's he going?
Well, exactly. Who's
And why are they bringing him back?
Precisely. Leave him there.
Yes. Anyone here go to the Goodwood Festival of Speed? Wasn't it fantastic? Best thing for me, though, was JK turned up with his new Ferrari Enzo, 300 and however many thousand pounds it is. Parked it in the car park. We've got a picture of it here, OK, which somebody sent to us. Now, someone wrote something on the bonnet. You want to see what it is? Jody was faster.
You were there, though. You were there. It wasn't... You didn't...
I didn't do it. No,
That's
I just walked past and thought, that is very, very funny. He spent the entire day saying to people, no, yes, I will come back. No, yes, I do hate her. It's marvellous. It was a fantastic event, though, Goodwood,
Well,
this
it's
year.
massive now, isn't it?
It's like every Grand Prix and every classic car show jammed together on a gorgeous sunny day. It's brilliant.
It is.
Elle
Cars...
McPherson
Elle
waved
McPherson?
it. Elle McPherson.
Is that an old racing driver?
No, you buffoon.
He
Model.
thinks hello is a form of greeting.
Well,
Elle
it is.
McPherson is known as the... She's a girl, James.
You really do live somewhere else, don't you, James?
What's the L stand for?
No!
She waved at me.
You sure it was a wave?
Yeah, she waved at me.
Wasn't it?
No, it wasn't shooing me away or anything.
Nasty
She
man.
waved at me, and I saw David Coulthard, and I've got surprising news on that.
Oh, yeah?
You know Men in Black? You know the film, Men in Black? Well, it's just got... the basic premise is there are aliens living on Earth disguised as humans. Now, David Coulthard, don't you think? With that cheek... I've always suspected that if you peel away his overalls, he's actually got flippers.
this is great and lovely, and all those people you met, that's smashing. But it was a car event predominantly, because we've got the catalogue thing from it here. The stuff that was there is incredible.
It was.
Did you look at any of it?
Cars?
Yeah. What did you... I mean, the McLaren...
Do you know, I did. I went up the hill in the there's a hill that you basically drive, all the cars go up, and I went up in the McLaren Mercedes.
The SLR.
The new SLR.
Yeah, stunning thing.
Yeah.
And?
Well, I was still a bit drunk. So I have... There it is, look. I think. I don't know.
So hang on, so you're probably the first UK journalist to get in that car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've been talking about it for what now, 2 years?
Yeah.
Probably. And you went up the hill drunk, waving at McPherson's strut, or whatever her name is, out of the window.
I wasn't driving it, I was slumped in the passenger seat.
That's all right then.
Well, can you
Who was
tell us
driving
anything about it? What was it? I mean,
It
what
made a jolly loud noise in the condition I was in, that was for sure. It sounded like a Messerschmitt had mated with a Spitfire.
to your drunken brain at that time.
Is that... Only louder than that.
You wouldn't make much of a war correspondent, would you, standing there in war-torn wherever with a desolated landscape? So, Jeremy, what happened? Dunno, drunk, missed it.
Can we get on? Good, because if you've got a lot of money to spend on a big four-door saloon car, there's already lots and lots of choice. You've got the Audi A8, the Mercedes S-Class, and the Jaguar XJ. But now there's a new alternative, and here it is in all its brownness. It's called the Phaeton, and it costs £65,000, which is odd, because it's a Volkswagen, and Volkswagen means people's car. Right. When they found evidence of life on Mars, it was a big deal. But this is bigger. This proves there are traces of humour in the fatherland. This is the first ever recorded example of a German joke. A Volkswagen that costs £65,000. But actually, it isn't funny. You see, the Phaeton was the swan song for Volkswagen's boss, Ferdinand Piëch. He was retiring and he wanted to go out with a bang. He wanted to make the best car ever. He laid down a set of 10 parameters which were apparently so impossible that half his engineering team walked out. They said it couldn't be done. I'm trying to get Volkswagen to tell me what these parameters are, but they say they're a secret. They'll only give me one just to give me a flavour. And apparently, Piëch insisted that you should be able to drive the Phaeton all day at 186 miles an hour when it's 122 degrees outside, and the air conditioning must be able to maintain a temperature in the car of 71.6 degrees. I bet he was fun to go out with of an evening. Now, I know this looks like a boring car from a boring man on a boring, wet day, but stay with me, because the attention to detail in the Phaeton is staggering. Since we've been talking about air conditioning and heating, let's stick with it. Most cars blow air into your face through vents like this, but look what happens in this one. Push this button and a panel slides down where it acts as a sort of radiator. First car I've ever been in that's got central heating. And there's a dehumidifier in here too, so the windows cannot steam up, no matter what you get up to. Happily, I can test that out by stepping into the back with the lovely Danielle here. We'll just pop in. Don't worry, it's all in the name of science. There we are. That is extraordinary. We've made ourselves a lovely cup of tea back here. As you can see, the kettle is bubbling away, but we can still see out of the windows. Lovely view. Isn't it nice? There's more, too. Look at these hinges. No one's ever going to see them, and yet they're so beautifully machined. And round at the front, things get even more German. Normally, when you use the headlamp washers in a car, huge jets of water squirt onto the glass, and for a moment, you can't see where you're going. But look what happens in this. This one fires first of all, and then when it's done, this one fires. So there's always some illumination. And then there's the bonnet. Pierre insisted that it had to stay absolutely flat and level with no vibration right up to 190 miles an hour. Which sounds like overkill, really, because the phaeton is limited to 155. I have, however, driven one of these things without a limiter, and it went up to a smooth and totally stable 201 miles an hour. And even at that speed, I still couldn't hear the engine. It's two 3-litre V6s glued together, so the cylinders are actually in that sort of a shape. It's a 6-litre W12. It's an amazing engine. It's an amazing car. You know something? It pains me to admit it, but if I were going to buy big four-door saloon, wouldn't be the Jag. I would have that Phaeton.
Over the Jag, even with the VW badge?
Yeah, it's an amazing car, as I said, amazing.
Well, the interesting thing is they're going to do a 2-door version of the Phaeton, kind of. Basically, it's all the technical stuff out of that car in a different body, but with a much better badge. It's this, the Bentley Continental GT, and it is probably the most eagerly anticipated car for decades.
Designed by a Belgian bloke.
Apparently so, yes.
Whose only previous credit was the Skoda Fabia.
Yeah, well, it's a bit of a career jump. It's like an architect doing a garage and then doing the Natural History Museum next week. But
I know, but he can be proud. His mum can be proud.
She can be chuffed.
I mean, look at this interior. Scoop round and get in here. Honestly, it puts me in mind of the old Aston Martin Vantage. You've got bits of Phaeton stuff all over everywhere, but there's a sense of absolute luxury and absolute power.
Now, Bentley have said we can't drive it yet because it's not ready, but they're going to have it ready by the end of the year because that's when it's launched. It'll cost 120,000 quid.
Tell them how fast it goes.
Well, absolutely, because 0 to 60 time. This is a big car, remember, a big Bentley, about the size of this building. 0 to 60, 4.8. 4.8 seconds.
Tell them the top speed.
In that.
Top speed.
Top speed. Any ideas? I'll tell you.
Guess?
200.
You get clever. That's what you get.
He's wrong. It's 198 miles an hour.
Yes! Won't do that again.
198
it's
is
incredible.
Phenomenally
but,
fast.
Truth be told, you know, we're not Bentley owners. You're not. I'm certainly not. So we probably could do with the opinion of one.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
And look what we have here. You have a Bentley.
Sort of. I mean,
Sort of. It's a very old one, but it's a Bentley nevertheless. So what do
Bentley.
you think of this?
What do I think of that? Well, the engine's good. You
Brilliant.
know that. And it's got 2 turbochargers as well.
Which the Phaeton doesn't have.
Exactly.
So you know it's got 550 brake horsepower. There's 50 more than a Ferrari 575. And the torque.
They put it on the machine and it just ripped the machine apart.
It
so much
turned the
torque.
house that the machine was in upside down and roared off.
Yeah.
So the engine's good.
Yeah. Just a bit.
Right, we like the shape.
Yeah.
We like
Adorable.
the interior.
Yeah.
We like the ashtray action.
Yeah.
I haven't actually looked in the boot, but...
It's going to be good, I'm sure. I mean,
Yeah.
it's really not stacking up to be a recipe for disaster, this thing, is it? It's looking good.
We're going to be testing it, obviously, in the next series.
I'm going to be testing it in the next series.
Actually, it's I think, the opinion of a younger guy.
It's a heavy car, it needs a heavy driver.
It's a gentleman's car.
It's a young man's Bentley, clearly.
We
I think
will be testing it, and I will be telling you what it's like in the next series. Now, though, we've got to meet our guest tonight. He has the second worst hair on television. You know him as Jonathan Creek, ladies and gentlemen. Alan Davis! How are you? What's happened to your locks?
And you mean they're not as long as...
No, I thought they were longer than that.
Well, they used to be very long, but hair technology has moved on, and you can now glue hair in if you need it.
Oh, is that glued on in Jonathan Creek?
Yeah.
Is it really hair
Yeah,
extensions?
the last 2 series have been glued in hair from Eastern Europe.
You are a bit of a petrol head beneath the hair extensions.
I like a car.
You do like a car?
Yeah.
What have you got?
I've got an Alpha 147.
Yeah, you see, they're not... Look at this. Now, this is
No,
an interesting
blank.
thing.
Nothing
No,
interested.
do that face again that you just did. that sort of knowing... That was a knowing... And I think there's a reason for that. I've got a theory on Alphas. I don't think it's possible to be a proper petrol head unless at some point in your life you've owned an Alfa Romeo.
You think?
Yeah.
Well, I take that as a compliment.
So you had Cavaliers, didn't you, for a while?
I had a Mini, and then I got a white Vauxhall Cavalier in about 1984-5. My dad got it for me.
But I just don't understand this. Where Harry Enfield had a Cavalier at one time.
Yes.
Convertible.
Did he?
Yeah, a Cavalier. He's the only person in Britain who bought one. Is there a Cavalier thing running through the sort of stand-up?
It might be. Mark Lamar had a Cavalier. We had Cavaliers at the same time. We'd stand outside clubs going, look at your, mine's good, isn't they?
And then Enfield would turn up with his convertible. And that would be... Did you all go around together then, all you?
Well, you do gigs out of town, always. And you take 3 or 4 people. You'd say, who's driving? So you'd be in Birmingham. And I was in the Cavalier, I was driving. We were coming back one night from a club in Birmingham, down the M6. And in the middle of the road were 2 vast limos. And I'm in the outside lane, and I had Harry Hill was next to me here and 2 other guys in the back. And we get alongside the first limo, and it's a bloke in a cap. And the one in front is Barry Manilow. Unmistakably, Barry Manilow. Remember, we're in profile. Yeah. Unmistakably. Barry Manilow, and Harry Hill immediately starts, you write the songs that make the whole world sing. And then he looks across like that, and there's 4 blokes in a second-hand Cavalier going, you write the songs, you write the songs. And then he sped off at about 90. But we did that once. We came back from Birmingham. Lee Evans was driving. I can't remember. I don't think he had a Cavalier, but it was something similar. And there's about 4 of us in it. And we said, Lee, we've got to get some chips. We're really hungry. He said, all right. So we go... we head off into Birmingham town centre and we get pulled over. And the police get him out of the car and make him go and sit in their car. So we're sat behind thinking, this is probably really bad. And then a copper got out of their car, came and stuck his head in our window, and he goes, so yous lot are all comedians, are you? We didn't speak, we were just... Yeah.
Coogan was around at that time, and he was complete petrol nut.
Coogan loves cars. I mean, I only went in Coogan's car once. He had an MX-5, a left-hand drive MX-5 with some sort of nitroglycerine attachment to it.
Turbocharger, probably.
And we'd done this corporate gig at Beverley Racecourse, and having all of us failed to get off with anyone, he offered me a lift back in it, because I was the closest thing to a girl. And the rest of the comics are in the minibus that we all went up in. So we've shot off in this thing. And he did the full thing that he would have done if I was a girl. Flipped the roof off doing about 80 miles an hour. Clip, clip, like that. One hand on the wheel. I'm looking at the speedo. We're coming to a roundabout. It's on 100. And I'm thinking, we're doing 100 miles an hour. And then I realise it's an import, right? So it's kilometres. But still, it's
still
fast.
62.
And they're in one of these country hotels where you've got a gate and then dark bit and then the hotel. And you would think that the road would go straight from the gate to the hotel. So he went into it, straight off the road, into a field, bouncing. There's a fence like that. Meanwhile, the minibus is going... He's seeing it, his real hair and talk stuff. He's got to spin it backwards. And then it's hissing and spitting and get into the car park and leap out casually with the car completely caked in mud.
Beat the minibus.
Beat the minibus.
Do you buy cars for material?
No. I've never really talked about the car. Well, I did. I mean, there's some stuff that happened to me when I was younger that has made for comedy material. I did, when I was about 21, I got stopped on the M25 and they took me to court for speeding. And they were in court and they said he was doing between 106 and 108 miles an hour. And I said, that'll be 107 then. I thought it was fair. And they banned me. They banned me on the spot. It's in Brentwood Court. And I went next door to the police and I said, how am I going to go home? I drove. And they said, your problem. I said, well, no, really, you know, how do you get home from Brentwood? Just forget I'm a criminal, I'm a convicted man. Imagine I'm just a lost passerby and you would like to help me. How do I get back to Loughton from here? Yeah, it's your problem. So I got a bit annoyed and got in the car and drove. Woo, woo! Laughing, they were laughing, pulled me over, arrested me, took me back in the same court, in front of the same magistrates. They were like, okay. Took me back, and then they put me in the public gallery, and this guy said, you're so unlucky, mate, they get about 4 people a day like that.
Driving home.
Next time, if you drive here, park in the hospital over the road, they'll never see you.
Well, now, we're going to find out what you like in the Suzuki Liana.
Oh, OK.
OK. Was it a nice... Is it raining out there, or is it...
It started to rain more and more.
So it was a wet time you had?
It was all right at first, and then it really was raining quite a lot. And at one point, just before, I had to brake, 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 as the Stig kept saying to me. Turn in, turn in, turn in. I was actually thinking, brake, 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 windscreen wipers, windscreen wipers.
Who would you like to beat on the board? Where do you think you want to be? I mean, Michael Gambon was here, he's a wet lap. The W's are wet. Ross Kemp, 154, wet. Yeah. Coogan, 153 in the wet.
Well, that's respectable, isn't it? Near Coogan.
You want to beat... Do you want to beat Coogan?
I don't think I can... Having been in his MX-5, it's doubtful.
Well, shall we find out? Yeah. Right, let's have a look. Let's have a look. What did you think of the car?
Well, it was surprisingly all right.
Not bad so far. really.
That's where Jodie Kidd was quick, because she never really... Oh, you see, she was on that line all the way round.
It's hard to stay on the line.
I know. My word. John coming up now to Michael Gambon corner, where he nearly rolled it. Are you all right? Yes. Yes. And there we are across the line, isn't it?
Oh. How did I do?
1 minute. Shall we call that wet or dry? I think we need a new category, D for damp.
Damp, yeah.
Mildly damp
it was a damp
at the end. Mildly damp. So you did it. Now, mildly damp was somewhere... 1 minute, 54 seconds.
Oh, not too bad.
So you're just behind. Thing is, though... Basically a second off Coogan, although he did it in a monsoon and was 153.
Well, that's... Yeah, I can believe that.
Yeah. Now, you didn't have a completely smooth practice out there, did you?
No.
You broke Arliana.
Yeah, I did.
You broke Arliana. Look at this. Look at this, everyone. Look at that. Look at that front wheel.
Well, that wasn't from the spin, that was from something else. It wouldn't go around the corner. It was...
You broke it. You joined...
You just see the ambulance in the background.
Yes, there's always...
But I came round the corner. That was actually really... I thought that was my best lap.
It probably wasn't your best lap with a puncture like that. Slows you down a bit.
I don't know where the puncture happened.
Nevertheless, a good time. Great to have you here. Ladies and gentlemen, Alan Davis. Now, news came into the office the other day that Cadillac was in real trouble, so immediately Hammond and I went for lunch. May, on the other hand, said, no, I must go and find out what's wrong and what they're doing to put it right. So, over to you, Billy Bob Jimmy May Jr. III.
Here's the problem. Cadillac's main customers are a lot of doddery old biffers in Florida. People who like their suspensions soft, like their sprouts. The situation's even worse in Britain. They tried to woo us with the Cadillac STS, but nobody bought one. Well, except Stuart Hall. Clearly, some drastic measures are necessary. So, how drastic is this? It's the Cadillac 16, a car designed to show the world that Cadillac can once again lead the way in luxury. Well, it's very big, which is a good start, and it's also rather clever. Let's have a look at the engine, for example. That is a 13.5-litre V16, 16 cylinders. But if you're just cruising along, you only use 4 cylinders. If you go to overtake someone, you get 8 cylinders. And it's only when you flatten it, as the Americans would say, that you get all 16. Now that means that this 2.5-ton, 20-foot-long car will do 20 miles to the gallon, which is actually very impressive. My old Bentley does 14 miles to the gallon, and that's a small car. Inside, it's rather like a very rich, self-made American's house. I mean, the wood is just a bit too shiny, really, and the leather is a bit like a supermodel's buttocks. And the clock is too posh. That's good. So here we are on the historic and demanding Goodwood Race Circuit. This is where Stirling Moss nearly died, and Bruce McLaren did. And this is a 1,000 horsepower car, so I thought I'd smoke this cigar and talk about luxury. I like luxury. It's the new performance. You know, I think they've got this spot on. This is exactly what a Cadillac should be. It's big and plush and probably a bit vulgar. Now, I don't think the Queen's going to have one because she's got a Bentley, and I don't think Gerhard Schroeder's going to have one because he's got a Mercedes-Benz. And Elvis can't have one because he's dead. But let's think where the real money is these days. Elton John, David and Victoria, Puff Diddley, or Dudley, or whatever he's called this week. Stuart Hall. This car is absolutely of its time.
Now, this is what I call shock and awe.
It's hammer time.
I have not been interested in any Cadillac, really, not since '57, and I wasn't born then, so I wasn't particularly interested even then, but this is just amazing, isn't it?
I think it's fabulous. It's stolen the show a bit, hasn't it?
I think it has. I mean, it has. It's walked all over the Bentley, which is, you know, which we thought would be the king of the hill today. Yeah. Can they make it?
Well, I didn't say this in the film, but this is really just a prototype. It's a sort of experimental car, but they could make it because there's nothing, there's no pie-in-the-sky stuff. It's got a proper engine, it's a proper space frame, it's got a normal interior. They could make it.
Can I see that engine? I know I saw it when you filmed. I just want to see it in real life.
Now, this would be powered on the real version, obviously.
Well, it would be. I know Americans might lose weight if they actually had to do something for themselves.
Whoa, hey!
Look at, where's the propeller?
Yeah.
I mean, it either needs one on the front or on the back. And that's how many? 13.5?
It's actually 13.6 litres, 1,000 horsepower.
So, what will it take for them to actually put this into production?
Well, I reckon those people I mentioned in the film, like, you know...
Elton and Bex and
you and Stuart Hall.
Stuart Hall?
Stuart Hall. You ring up Cadillac, whatever their number is, and say, make that car.
So, Stuart, if you're watching tonight, do that. You'll be the talk of Cheshire.
Now, usually when there's anything on the telly about disabled drivers, it's just about somebody converting their Maestro so you can put a chair in it, or it's about parking close to things. But not on this show, because a few weeks ago, bloke came in to see the show in the studio here, in his wheelchair, and he said, well, there's nothing me and my mates like more than hammering around a racetrack. And that gave us an idea. We set out to find Britain's fastest disabled driver. We trawled racing clubs to find the drivers, we found a specially converted racing Porsche 911, and we had our track, which was very wet. Get real with the FIFA on the dance floor. Once you've got used to the hand controls, I mean, are you as quick?
It's probably a misconception.
I think so, yeah. Do you think?
I can actually brake harder and quicker because basically you're on there already, you've got some pressure and control already, and because you're in that frame of mind with one limb, it's like you're right on there without having to think about moving your foot around or anything like that.
did that on purpose. At least that's what he's going to say.
I did it right. You go around the right-hand corner because I've got no lower back muscles. It's like, oh, what bloody hell, forgot about that. Of course, the other thing is that he hasn't got to worry about breaking his back, has he?
He's giving it some, hasn't he? Yes. You could almost take a boat out there now.
The results, and they are as follows. In 6th place, Peter, it was you, mate, with 2 minutes 20, and he crashed on the way home, so that was a great day for you. Well done. Seriously, he did binned it on the way out. Well done. Tim, you were in 4th, 1 minute 58.8, respectable time, despite your monster nearly crash. Rob, that was a proper crash. 1 minute 55.6 puts you in 3rd. Colin, 2nd place, 1 minute 54.8, good solid time. But then there's a huge leap, 1 minute 47. Lee, you came first, mate. Well done. Ladies and gentlemen. You know, look at that. It's a proud moment. But, thing is, we got chatting while we were doing this, as you do in the rain, and something came up, and it's this. Who amongst you has been stopped by the police in your car? Be honest. Come on, hands up. Hands up. Right, basically it's everybody apart from Colin. All of them. Now, when you were stopped, who of you has at some point been let off? Come on, be honest. Yeah. Now, this got me thinking, because I know it happened to you, Rob. Tell me, what happened? What went on?
I was just going home after a nice evening jolly. No,
Bit quickly.
Not been drinking, yes. I've got a reasonably fast car. I was going reasonably fast.
Well, you got a twin-turbo Super. It's a very fast car.
Oh, yeah, I wasn't using all turbos at the time.
Right, OK.
And it was a bit late. The roads were clear. It's quite you know, early hours of the morning. Light was changing from amber to red, and I thought, well, I'll easily beat that, and it does. See, I got pulled, and they pulled up, so I thought, right, how am I going to handle this? So I wound the window down just as he got there, and I flicked the light on just as he looked in, and he was just about to start his patter and spotted the wheelchair and said, right, it's a nice car for
So he saw the chair and basically stumbled back, all embarrassed.
He didn't know what to do about it.
And you got let off?
Yeah, and he said, on your way, son, have a nice evening.
Seriously? So, Mr. Policeman, if you are watching, next time you see any of these guys speeding and you pull them, nick them.
This, sadly, is the last show in the current series, and as soon as it's over, we'll be going on holiday for a few months. But whilst we're on the beach, we still need your help for the 2003 Top Gear Motoring Survey. Last year, we had 37,000 respondents, making it the biggest independent survey of UK motorists. We want more of you this year. If your car was registered between 1999 and 2002, we want to know about it. We want to know what fell off. We want to know what your dealer's like, if he can make you a decent cup of coffee, all that stuff. It's done online. It's easy. www.bbc.co.uk/Top Gear. Please get tapping. We'll bring you the results of what you say in the autumn.
Now, there was going to be a theme to tonight's programme. We were going to do tuned cars. I was going to tell you about a Brabus Mercedes that could do 200 miles an hour and a Mini with 200 brake horsepower. And I got a whole load of these cars together and took them to a stud farm in Newmarket. I've no idea why. I don't know what I was thinking of. And this is what happened. Here I am, look, blathering on about something or other. And clearly only the horse is excited by what I had to say. So, really, we scrubbed the whole thing. Only one bit of that idea still remains, the Range Rover. It used to be very easy to make one of these things better. You just did all the nuts and bolts up properly. But since the new one came out, the one that we made Car of the Year last year, it's very difficult to improve it. That hasn't stopped people trying, though. This is the Range Rover 580S, which has been breathed on by a company called Overfinch. It's priced at £45,000, plus £60,000 for the original car. What Overfinch used to do with the old Range Rover was replace the standard engine with a 5.7-litre V8 from a Corvette. It was fun, if your name was BP Esso McShell. With the new one, though, they've stuck with the standard BMW engine, boring it out to 5 litres and fitting a hugely expensive crankshaft. Think of this, then, as a Range Rover M5. You get 380 brake horsepower. That's 100 more than standard. 380 brake horsepower is what you used to get out of a Ferrari 355. And they fiddled with the gearbox, so now when you floor it, it changes down immediately. Immediately, and you're off. To demonstrate what all this power means, I've organised a little drag race. A Mercedes SLK versus a 2.5-ton truck. And we're not cheating. This Mercedes has the big engine, the 3.2-litre V6. So think of it then as a race between an athlete and someone who's fat. Oh, and to make the fat man's job a little harder, he'll be racing off-road. Sport mode. 2,000 RPM and... I'm ahead. It's getting awfully bumpy. I am in the lead. I've got double vision. I'm being chased by 2 Mercedes. And I win. God, this thing's quick. On the road, the Overfinch does 0 to 60 in 7.1 seconds and has a top speed of 140. The only problem is that the steering and the suspension haven't been changed at all. It's a bit like sliding down a black run in a wardrobe. It's a giggle, but you've got no real say in the direction of travel. So, it's not a nimble sports car then, more of a Mach 4 bulldozer. But the best thing about this car is not the engine, or the gearbox, or the TV screens in the back of the headrest, or the hand-stitched leather, or the fancy wheels. The best bit is to be found in the boot. You see, Land Rover say that if you want 7 seats, you have to buy a Discovery. It's a business practice I think they got from Das Kapital. But Overfinch are different. Look, 2 little seats with seat belts that fold away. And some hay for the horses, look. Isn't that terrific? The normal Range Rover is a very good car, but this is a rock-crushing, people-carrying, Porsche-bashing, fuel-guzzling, point-and-squirt, muscle-bound mountain goat.
Do you know what I was reminded of watching that? Do you remember that Dutch carver we had on last week?
Yeah.
Leany, 45-degree lean thing. It's like that.
You are right. You'd have to be completely insane to try and set a time round the track in this.
Mad.
So, that'll be a job for the Stig, then.
Yeah.
Right, thundering off the line like a big V8 hippopotamus. So wet out there. Now, of course, the Overfinch has 4-wheel drive, also weighs as much as a church. Stig there in a suave mood. And look at the body roll through Chicago. That is scary. Now he's lumbering up to the hammerhead. Looking a bit slow, it must be said. Heaving through the follow-through. This thing is immense in a straight line. Not so fond of bends, however. Up to the last bend, lots more. He's got off-road! Because he can! He's got off-road into Gambon now! And across the line in 1 minute 44 seconds, despite the cheat, the slowest ever.
It sounded good, though.
It did sound good. I have to tell you, though, the Stig afterwards said that's the first time he's ever been scared behind the wheel of a car.
Really?
Yeah, which is marvellous. Now, we got to the bit of the programme, really, which we call the broken biscuit section. It's all the stuff that we said we were going to do as the series has progressed that we haven't done. We're going to cram it into the last few minutes. And actually, since we're standing here, let's stick with the Range Rover. You see, when it was launched last year, Land Rover said, don't worry, we're building this one properly. So we said, OK, if you're so confident, lend us one for 6 months, we'll run it, and we'll see if anything goes wrong.
Actually, yeah, you then went on to say, and if anything does go wrong, you would shoot the managing director's dog, if we remember.
I did say that.
Yeah.
And we've had stacks of letters from people who say that theirs has gone wrong. I was talking to a chap in the audience just a few minutes ago, and he said, I've just bought, and I said, is it here? He said, no, I've come down in a Discovery, it's broken. However, the deal was, if this one goes wrong, this is the one they lent us. Now, I've given it a hard time. We've used it as a Top Gear chase car. It's been off-road. It is disgusting. Worst test of all, kids' school run car. They treat it, well, like animals, really. And here we are, 6 months on.
It's done the lot. And what's the news for the dog?
Well, last week it was good, but unfortunately, just the other day, this is the electric steering wheel adjuster, works perfectly OK going in and out.
Yeah.
Won't go up and down.
Oh, dear. Mind you, it's not the sort of thing you can kill a man's dog over, is it?
No, and I don't think we could even wound the dog for that. However, I was up at Land Rover the other day, and it turns out the managing director is a keen bonsai enthusiast.
Oh, yeah.
And I stole this from his desk. It's something he's been nurturing since he was a child. So, He didn't want us to show you this, but he got himself a racing licence the other day, and he said, I'm going to take part in a 24-hour motor race for 2 CVs in Norfolk. Right, here's the race. There's the team he assembled. There's Hammond, obviously. That's the fastest Vicar from the last series, the fastest Rasta, and a professional race driver.
Beautifully prepared car, loaned by a family.
Yeah, loaned by... Beautifully crafted so that he could take part in it. Now, the thing is, OK, as I said, Hammond isn't a racing driver. Here he comes, look. He's got the suit, he's got the helmet.
He's got a romper suit, really, isn't it?
It turns out, OK, the only aspect of racing driving he's any good at is thinking up excuses. Just watch this.
He broke the car, it wasn't me. They forgot to tell me. Nice one, Levi, thank you. Every time I braked, the gearbox was coming away and moving forwards and taking the gear lever with it. It didn't half wobble, which it didn't do yesterday. The engine. I'd have been, you know, Levi's time blitzed. Probably a 1 minute 45 was on the cards, but it might be more of a...
But now you've got the perfect
220,
excuse.
230. Yeah.
He blamed just about everything there, didn't he?
I don't think
Here he is.
Yeah, well, it was tricky, you know, things go wrong, it's exciting.
Did the tyres go off?
Yeah, they were going
Forgot
to.
about the tyres going off.
Yeah, that was my next
Did you have a
excuse.
problem with reliability throughout?
Never mind
the
that.
season?
Where did you come?
13th.
Out of
13th.
About 14, so it wasn't brilliant.
You were second
But
to
the weather
last.
was against us as well at one point.
Enough of the excuses. You're useless. You're not being allowed to do any more motor racing.
It wasn't good.
Now, we never thought we'd have to do this, but we do. We thought that JK would sit on top of our fastest ever celebrity board forever and a day. But then a couple of weeks ago, this happened. Jodie Kidd came here. And I'm sure you remember what the result was. She beat JK by 0.3 of a second, making her the fastest person, the fastest star in a reasonably priced car. Now, sadly, Jodie can't be with us tonight because she can't be bothered. So we're going over to a pub near here where she is.
Thank you. This is going to go very, very high up on my above my fire. It's going to be there looking at me, and very proud of it, and this lovely plasticness is beautiful. I'd just like to thank my agent, my family.
Oh, for God's sake, shut up. That is it, really, isn't it, for the end of the show, and indeed the end of the series. If you have any thoughts or opinions on what you've seen in the last 10 weeks, do please keep them to yourselves. See you in the autumn. Good night.
On board a nuclear submarine, fighting the war continues next here on BBC Two.